Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're continuing with the final episode of the story, unpacking the thrilling, completely mind-bending conclusion of the tape of echoed guilt. If you've been following the intricate layers of this story through our previous explainers, you already know exactly how high the stakes are. Well, we are finally at the end of the line. And the final reveal, it totally shatters everything our protagonist thought he knew. It takes your standard suspense thriller and turns it into an absolute masterclass on psychological terror. So let's jump right in and see how this brilliantly crafted suspense completely unravels. So what happens when your own memory becomes the enemy? Really think about that for a second. We rely on our memories to construct our entire reality, right? To tell us who we are and what we've done. When that foundation cracks, the whole shebang falls apart. And that is the psychological core of this entire text. We plunge straight into our protagonist Teo's creeping paranoia as he's driving home from the police station. The detective just told him, "We cannot hold you, not tonight." And that specific phrasing, it just completely haunts his drive. The author brilliantly stretches time here. Every single red light feels artificially long. Every shadow looks like someone waiting in the dark. Teo is consumed by this visceral feeling that something is fundamentally wrong, like there's an agonizing blank space hiding just behind a locked door in his own mind. The tension seriously ratchets up the moment he steps into his supposedly secure apartment. Teo unlocks his door, steps inside, and just freezes. The kitchen light is on, and it's a light he knows for a fact he turned off before leaving. There's no sign of forced entry, nothing is stolen, nothing is visibly damaged. But sitting perfectly on the counter is a small, old, dusty, unlabeled cassette tape. And right beside the TV, his old cassette player, completely untouched for years, has been purposefully plugged into the wall. Someone was just here. The dread in the text is absolutely palpable as Teo realizes his sanctuary, his one safe place in the entire world, is completely compromised. He is not alone. The oppressive silence of his apartment is finally broken. Teo slowly presses play, and through the crackle of old static, Mrs. Coker's recorded voice drops a massive bombshell. She says, "Teo, if you are hearing this, then something has gone very wrong. I think your brother stole something." Her voice reaches out like a ghost, completely shattering the illusion of the investigation up to this point. His brother, Kunle, who has been missing for 8 agonizing months, didn't just vanish into thin air. He actually came to Mrs. Coker, completely terrified, and left a simple flash drive with her for safekeeping, and that set off a chain reaction of devastating consequences. Now, this wasn't just some petty theft. We're talking about an explosive cache of systemic evidence. It had detailed logs on powerful police officers, bribes, names, payments, incriminating videos. This is a massive, highly organized web, proving absolute systemic corruption within the highest ranks. On the tape, Mrs. Coker reveals that she literally begged Kunle to go to the authorities, but he refused for one incredibly chilling reason. The authorities were the exact people hunting him. The very institutions meant to uphold the law are actually the dangerous criminals pulling the strings from the shadows. There's literally no one to call. And then, the recording shifts. It goes from a startling confession to an active, unfolding nightmare. 3. Slow knocks. Right there on the cassette tape, Mrs. Coker abruptly stops talking mid-sentence. You hear a sharp, trembling inhale, a terrified whisper of, "Oh God." Then another knock, louder and way more insistent this time. The tape captures the raw, unfiltered audio of heavy footsteps, sudden, violent movement, and the unmistakable, agonizing creak of a door being forced open. The intruder has breached her apartment right there in the recording, and Teo is forced to listen to the final moments of a woman's life unfold in real time. The absolute shock sets in with a single, devastating word captured on the tape. Just one word. Teo. Let that sink in for a second. The voice on the tape, the man who just broke into Mrs. Coker's apartment and cornered her, is Teo himself. Teo physically stumbles backward in his own living room as he listens to his own voice speaking from the night before Mrs. Coker died. The sheer impossibility of it, the profound horror of hearing yourself commit a violent crime you have absolutely zero memory of, it's a masterful stroke of terror. It completely destabilizes everything we thought we knew about our main character. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate flip of the unreliable narrator trope. We have the present Teo standing in his apartment. He's terrified, confused, feeling physically sick to his stomach, with zero memory of this home invasion. But the Teo captured on that tape, he's like a totally different entity. His voice is noticeably altered. It's slower, unsteady, yet aggressively demanding to know, where is it? The drive. It is the audible footprint of a man whose mind has been hijacked. It's a terrifying display of how easily human consciousness can be overridden when subjected to the right chemical manipulation. He just isn't in control of his own faculties.
The horrifying puzzle pieces finally start falling into place when a second man speaks on the tape, issuing a chilling command: search the apartment. The text describes this second voice as deep, cold, and utterly devoid of empathy. It's the voice of someone who is very used to giving orders and having them obeyed without question. As soon as this brutal command is given, the tape captures absolute chaos. Frantic movement, heavy shouting, Mrs. Coker screaming in pure, unadulterated terror, and then a loud, violent crash before the tape abruptly cuts into dead, empty static. The deed is done.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is the identity of this second man. It's a revelation that completely shatters the entire reality of the story. Up until now, Inspector Aiken has appeared friendly, calm, and seemingly dedicated to helping Tayo find his missing brother. He was the one anchor Tayo thought he had in the police force. But the horrifying reality is that the cold, deep-voiced criminal mastermind on the tape is Inspector Aiken. The helpful, reassuring detective has been the primary villain pulling the strings all along, using his badge as the ultimate shield for his corruption. So how exactly did Aiken orchestrate this terrifying betrayal? Well, as Tayo listens in the suffocating quiet of his flat, his fractured, locked-away memories violently return. He was drugged, secretly watched for weeks, and then weaponized. You know, psychological studies have shown that under the influence of certain severe sedatives, a person's suggestibility skyrockets. They can follow complex commands while experiencing complete amnesia. Aiken manipulated Tayo long before the formal police interrogation, effectively using him as a blind, compliant bloodhound to bypass Mrs. Coker's suspicions and lead the corrupt police straight to her front door. And just as the horrific reality of his manipulation truly sinks in, the horror escapes the boundaries of the cassette tape and bleeds directly into reality. In the dead silence of his apartment, 3 slow knocks hit his actual, physical front door. Exactly the same rhythm from the recording. Exactly the same dread. The nightmare isn't just something he's listening to in the past anymore, it has actively hunted him down in the present. Tayo, we need to talk. It's Inspector Aiken's deceptively calm, pleasant voice coming right through the heavy wood of Tayo's front door. The utter panic of this moment in the text cannot be overstated. Tayo realizes with terrifying clarity that the wrong man hadn't kept quiet. He had trusted the wrong people. Aiken isn't here for a friendly follow-up interview. He's not doing a wellness check. He knows Tayo has the tape. He knows the flash drive's secrets are out. He's here to permanently silence the final remaining witness to his crimes. The door handle slowly begins to turn. This is the undeniable climax of the suspense. It perfectly represents the final physical barrier breaking down between Tayo and the deeply corrupt police force that just finished manipulating his very mind. He is completely trapped in his own home. The only proof of his innocence and their overwhelming, systemic guilt is sitting on a dusty cassette player, while the true monster systematically turns the handle to enter and finish the job. Which brings us to the breathless conclusion of our explainer today. What is the ultimate fate of a man whose own memory led the monsters directly to his door? Tayo's dark realization that he was the unwilling key to his own destruction and the destruction of those he cared about is a profoundly terrifying end to this narrative. It forces us to question who we trust, and even more frighteningly, whether we can even trust our own minds. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this intense final episode. Keep questioning the evidence in front of you, and until next time, keep your doors securely locked.